Thank you for the invitation to address the Council with my views on some of the aspects of the current problem of economic, social, and cultural rights. I'll deal with three things. First point will be the current situation of economic, social, and cultural rights. Secondly, what are the causes, who is responsible for that situation, and thirdly, how to address it, what to do with regard to the situation. Point number one, the magnitude of the problem. If you take only three of something like 20, 25 social, economic, and cultural rights, and look at the figures I'm going to say, then you'll realize how serious, how grave is the magnitude. Take the right to housing alone. Estimated 150 million people, 2021, were homeless, 150 million. Of these, you have something estimated between 17,000 to 40,000 deaths in one rich country, highly developed, alone. 17,000 to 40,000 deaths in 1 year. Another also rich country, 13,000 and 20,022, dying simply because they are homeless. And when these figures pertain to rich and highly developed countries, what is the situation in a poor, underdeveloped country? That's as far as the right to housing is concerned. Take the right to health. Figures by the WHO, 2021 alone, 68 million people died of disease. 68 million dying of disease. Take the right to food. UN estimates 25,000 people die of hunger every day. Every day, 25,000 people, including 10,000 children. If you count it, that will mean 1,041 people die every hour because of hunger. Which means, with a little calculation, that during our panel for 2 hours in this elegant room with its beautiful ceiling, by the time we finish in 2 hours, something like 2,082 people will die of hunger, including 833 children. Interesting. So, when you look at these figures, actually, and by another simple calculation, you may find that you have something like 150 million people every year dying because of the lack of three rights, three of the economic, social, and cultural rights. What about other rights? And if you calculate this by 5 years and you realize that the world population is slightly over 8 billion, then it's a very big risk for the future of the world. Now, we move to point 2. Why is this situation? Who is responsible for it? Look at the figures. Some figures are telling. I've been seeing how many people dying. Hunger, homelessness, disease. Luxury market on the world economy. The size, this is the legitimate luxury market, 242.8 billion in 2023. Estimated to jump to 369.8 billion in 231. That is luxury goods. Look at the fake products, even in luxury, according to Harvard Business Review, interesting statistics for 1919, they say that 60 to 70,000% of the $4.5 trillion in total counterfeit trade. 4.5 trillion. If you realize that the cost of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, to be achieved is $5.4 to $6.4 trillion, you realize that the international trade in fake luxury goods is something like 2/3 of what is required to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Incredible. And the situation is worse when you realize that in 2021, the annual funding gap for the SDGs has been 1.4 to 3 trillion, which means that the trade in counterfeit luxury goods is some twice than the gap for funding the SDGs. I cannot help but saying that is scandalous, ridiculous, and shameful. Who's responsible? One of the definitions of economics is that this is the science of the optimum allocation of resources. But from these figures, what you find is that this is no optimum allocation of resources. This is a misallocation of resources, which can happen only when there is a mismanagement of the world economy. And unless this point is tackled, the problem won't be overcome. Now I come to the point, third point and last. What to do? Since the causes of any problem are structural, then solutions have to be structural. You have to address the international system from the very beginning. I want to recall two important documents. Article 6, paragraph 2 in the Covenant. Usually not referred to that much, though it's a very important article. I'll read it quickly. Article 6 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, paragraph 2, reads, the steps to be taken by a state party to the present covenant to achieve the full realization of this right, full realization. We are 48 years after the covenant has been in force, and who reached full realization of this right shall include technical and vocational guidance, training programs, okay, but look at what is coming after. Policies and techniques to achieve steady economic, social, and cultural development and full and productive employment under conditions safeguarding fundamental political and economic freedoms to the individual. When you look carefully at this provision, it means, in a way, that it's not simply the right to development, but it is an obligation to development. Once you are a party to the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, according to Article 6.2, you are under the obligation to carry out what they say here, steady economic, social, and cultural development. Of course, many do not have the means, and here we come to the important Article 2, paragraph 1 of the Covenant. I'll read it quickly. Each state party to the present covenant undertakes to take steps individually and through international assistance and cooperation, especially economic and technical, to the maximum of its available resources, with a view to achieving progressively so and so and so. This is unique among all human rights conventions. Everybody knows that the fulfillment of economic, social, cultural rights are quite expensive. And here comes the importance of economic cooperation. And also when you look at this article, Article Article 2, paragraph 1, international cooperation is not merely an option. We are beyond that. It's an obligation. But when you look at that, actually this article in the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights falls short of a very interesting article. That's Article 28 in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and very unfortunately, the negotiators on the Covenant did not succeed in integrating it into the Covenant. That's Article 28 in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It reads, "Everyone is entitled to a social and international order to which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized." Everyone is entitled to a social and international order. You have, as a human being, an entitlement to a really, really good international order which fulfills the rights you have to enjoy and you should enjoy. So I think that we have to overcome the misallocation of world resources, and we have to change, modify, eliminate this mismanagement of the international economic system. Hopefully, the tragic figures which I referred to at the beginning will be reduced. Thank you, Chair.